Okay, I said that there were 6 positions and that one of those positions was the guard. I found it useful to divide the guard into 3 categories, or 3 variations. Close guard, open guard, and half guard. What we're going to deal with right now is the close guard. In the close guard, your legs are locked around your opponent. Some people lie here like this and think that this is the close guard, especially if they're fighting with their hands, they'll forget about their legs. For the most part, your legs are going to be locked around your opponent. If you can, or they can still be locked, if I start climbing my legs up over one of Don's shoulders, here, this would still be a variation of the close guard. You're going to take different grips to control your opponent. Really, you shouldn't be back here, because he can be doing things with his arms. You want to disturb his posture. You want to break him down. A classic way to control him is to grab the sleeve with one hand and to go deep in the collar with the other. Here, I can pull him down. Notice how I'm also pulling with my legs. I'm not just here. I'm also bringing my knee towards my face. Here. This would be one classic posture. Some people like grabbing the gi and the pants, or the sleeve and the pants. Another posture with the arms that works well, gi and no gi, is to overhook. I'm going to take this arm, I'm going to wrap Don's arm. If he has a gi, I might open it and feed it into this hand. We're here and here. Now I can control his head with the other hand. If we're talking self-defense or MMA, that's a pretty good posture because it's hard for him to land the killer knockout blow here. Yeah, he can chip away at my ribs. He can chip away at my head. And there's things I can do, but I'm unlikely to get knocked out in one blow. Instead of the overhook, you can also do the underhook, coming under the arm, controlling the head, and here. Yes, he can still harass you. I said it's a neutral position. It's not a dominant position. So that's how you can use your legs to control him in the close guard. That's how you can use your arms to control him in the close guard. Something else I should talk about is what your hips are doing. Most of the time, if I'm attacking Don, if I'm getting the advantage here, my hips are doing one of several things. They're probably not going to be flat here. I'm going to be perhaps tilted. See how I'm beginning to come out to his back? Or alternately, my hips will be out this way. They're either going to rotate in this direction or in that direction. Flat on your back, with your shoulders on the ground and both hips on the ground, that's kind of a dead position. I can choke him, but not much else. So if I really want to start mounting an offense, there, or here, out to the side. One important move in close guard, and it's still close guard even though your legs are opening, is to move your foot onto your opponent's hip, and typically you're going to turn and clamp down here. I'm putting the foot on the hip in order to create that angle that we talked about, to move my hips in a circle. And I don't just want them to stand up, so I'm going to do this to stay closed. Yes, technically my ankles aren't crossed, but that movement of foot on the hip and turning 90 degrees is such an important part of almost every close guard attack that I thought we'd include it today in this part. So what we're going to do now is go through some of the transitions from the bottom. If you're on the bottom, there's ways to improve your position. In jiu-jitsu, the term we use for that is a sweep. So here are some of the more common and more powerful sweeps. You see them even at high level. The first sweep we're going to do is commonly called the hip bump sweep. It's easiest to do when the guy's hand is on the ground. To set this up, I'm going to open my guard and sit up. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to either control his elbow or loop here. From here, see how my hand is on the ground and my feet are on the ground? I'm going to lift my hips up. I'm going to lift my hips up and turn. I was facing this way. Now I'm going to end up facing that way. This is a great sweep to do when you're pulling the guy down and he's pushing on the ground and trying to sit up. He's coming up, up, up. I follow him. I wrap the elbow, I lift up, and I turn. Common mistakes are trying to do this on the elbow and also coming here and just trying to turn here. You have to lift. Once you lift, it should feel weightless. It should feel effortless. So the next sweep we're going to do is the scissor sweep. There's different ways to do this sweep, but here's what we're doing today. Start with the sleeve and collar grip, foot on the ground, move my hips away. That creates room to put this foot on the hip here. I'm going to put my other foot on the hip and put the knee in the middle and push and pull. This knee is kind of irritating to him. Here I can stretch him out with my feet and pull in with my hands. At some point I open my leg and I'm going to chop in here and come up to the top. From a slightly different angle, we're here and here. Put that foot on the ground to move my hips away. Foot on the hip, knee in the middle, push and pull. Push and pull, and then scissor my legs. The next sweep is either the pendulum sweep, or some people call it the flower sweep. Close guard. I need to control one sleeve. I need to control this so he can't post out. From here, I'm going to move my hips out, put my foot on the ground, move my hips out. This hand either grabs the leg or comes underneath his leg. From here, I'm going to kick my leg up. See how my hip moves out to the side? Then I'm going to bring this in a big circle and chop that leg out and come down. From another angle, we're here. Control this arm so that he can't post. Move my hips out a bit. This hand either grabs the cuff of his pants or comes underneath his leg. From here I do a big kick. And I'm going to chop down while lifting his leg here. Coming to mount. Again, if you do that one right, it should be an effortless throw. It should be an effortless sweep. The guy should just go right over. It's a bit complicated to learn, but it's a powerful one. So if I find myself in someone else's close guard, there's some things I should avoid doing. Generally speaking, I shouldn't put my hand on the floor. This opens this arm up to all kinds of attacks and sweeps and all kinds of nastiness. I also shouldn't put my elbow across center line. See his center line? That's the line coming down his nose, middle of his chest, his belly button. If I put my arm here, I'm begging him to arm lock me. I also, when passing his guard, have to be very, very careful about putting one arm in between his legs, because unless I know exactly what I'm doing, I'm going to get choked here. So, those are some ways not to put your arms. My body, I want that to be fairly upright. I want to be having my chin level. I don't want to be here like this, because that makes it easy for him to pull me down and collapse him. So now where can you grip? It depends. There's many different variations of posture. One good basic way is to do a double bicep control here. This works gi and no gi. If you're dealing in a gi world, you can open this up and jam his lapels in here. Now my hands are kind of on the floor, but it's difficult for him to move and attack them. The other classic posture is to take both lapels together and control his chest here. Take my other hand and put it on his hip, pin his hip to the floor. This makes it difficult for him to move his hip, which we talked about as being an essential part of his attacks. And this also stops him from sitting up on me. So this would be classic posture. In order to pass his guard, I have to open up his legs. How do you do this? There's many different ways to do this. You can do it standing or kneeling, and I'll show you one of each. From the classic grip, I shift and I put one knee in the middle of his butt, and I put the other leg out to the back. From here I sit back and push down. This is not
Go back, please. And some people do it as a pressure point attack with the elbow. That's not really it. I'm putting my forearm on his leg and I'm sliding his leg down my own. It's more of a leverage thing because some people have really good pain tolerance. Another classic way to open his leg is to open up his gi or do a double bicep control. Stand up, put one knee in the middle, and then sit down. If he still keeps his legs closed, close your legs, and then arch back here. This is a very strong motion. Now I've opened his legs. So now his legs are open. You do need to open his legs before you can pass his guard. How do you pass? There's endless ways to pass his guard. A couple good ways to start are the knee slides. We're here. Let's say I'm in this posture. I've popped my knee up, so now it's tough for him to armbar me. Even if I put my arm here, my knee and my shin are blocking him from lifting his hips. Even if I put my arm inside, it's tough for him to triangle me because of that knee. So from here, I'm going to drive my knee to the floor this way. My knee is on his left side. I'm going to drive it forward. As I drive forward, I post my other foot. From here, I grab his leg, I grab his head, I back step, and then I release his leg. Let me just show that from another angle. We're here. Let's say I grab the double lapels, his hip, I pry his legs open, and I pop up. I'm going to do two things at the same time. This knee goes forward, my other knee goes up. So as I go here, see how this leg posts up? If I stay down on my knees, he can close his guard. If I stay here, he can't close his guard. From here, I'm going to hook his leg, hook his head, and I'm going to step. This instep controls his leg until the very last instant when I go here. The technique that goes together very well with that one, maybe before you get this done, is the cross knee slide. We've ended up here. Instead of my knee going this way, it's going to go that way. This feels a bit awkward at first, but it works really well. The big thing for me is I have to come under his arm here. I come underneath his arm and I drive my shin and knee sideways. It's not uncommon for him at this point to catch my leg with his leg. See how he's tangling up this leg? Not a problem. I stay here, I take my foot, and I kick it free. Now, I stabilize the position. From another angle, we're here. I popped my shin up. That shin is stopping him from closing his guard again. I fish for the underhook underneath his arm here. Now, I cross slide my knee, and I work my way out. If he captures my foot, that's okay. I keep my weight on him. I use my foot to free my leg. You can open the guard standing or kneeling, and you can pass the guard standing or kneeling. So let's say I'm pinning his biceps. I stand up, drop my knee down. Same position as before. From here, I'm going to back off just enough to control his ankles. Now, I'm going to fake one way, I'm going to fake this way, and I'm going to throw his legs the other way. Fake, fake. My knee comes forward, and I go to the classic knee mount. On the other side, I open his guard. However, I go up, I stand, I control his ankles. I don't want him grabbing me. I don't want to have his legs get away. I'm going to fake the legs in the direction I want to go, and I'm going to chuck them the other way, step, step. Very quick, very effective guard pass. going to move on to the open guard now. That's when your ankles aren't crossed behind your opponent's back.
If he's here, and to pass my guard, he's got to open my legs. I want to have an option before he forces my legs open. Before he pries them apart, I want to move. So the classic way to get to open guard from whatever grip, foot on the ground, move away, hip, foot on the hip, foot on the hip. From the other side, over here, I have a grip, he's straining to get it open, put a foot on the ground, I move away, foot on the hip, foot on the hip. Now, open guard relies on what we call hooks. That's your feet. Feet on the hip, or foot on the hip, is one hook. This is a perfectly good open guard hook. Foot on the bicep is another. Double foot on the bicep is another. Wrapping the leg around the arm, that's another hook. Using my instep behind his knee, even if he's standing up, here, that would be an example of an open guard hook. So the open guard revolves around getting these hooks, using these hooks, and him trying to get the hell rid of them because they're disrupting his balance. Grips are also fairly variable. This is a pretty common grip. Could you stand up, please, Don? See, here he's in good posture. Right? He's fairly upright. He's balanced. He can do things. If he wanted to, he could play tennis. He could throw a ball. By grabbing here, stretching him out, pushing his legs away, he can't do any of those things. He can't play tennis. He can't throw a ball, and he sure as hell can't pass my guard. So we're using the grips here to disrupt his posture. Now we're going to talk about transitions from the bottom, otherwise known as sweeps. Most of these I'm going to show against the standing opponent. The open guard works against standing opponents and kneeling opponents, but the reason I'm showing mostly standing is because, generally speaking, when you have your closed guard and your opponent stands up, you should probably open your legs. So then you need some options. You don't want to panic just because he's stood up and now you don't have any options. Here's some options. So we're here, I'm going to start, for the sake of argument, in closed guard. He's going to stand up. I'm going to open my legs and put my feet on his hips. From here, it depends on how his weight is. If you draw a plumb line down from Don's head, it's right around my belt. So his weight is back this way. If he drives in, see how his head is getting closer to being over my head? At this point, I drop my hips to the floor and I lift him up. Do you see how his feet are off the ground? Come back here. So we're here. He drives in, he comes in, he's pressuring me. I drop my hips to the ground and I lift him up. At this point, I'm going to make him do a forward somersault. He's going to tuck his head. I'm going to put my head to the side. And we're going to roll the top. My feet are clamped on his hips like a monkey climbing a tree. So I'm going to come with him. We're here. He's pressuring in on me. He's coming in. Here, lift. Backward somersault. The next one, so I'm here, but now he isn't coming this way, right? His weight is more back. I'm going to release my hands, grab his ankles. From here, I can push him with my feet and pull with his ankles. Stand up and cover his body. It's a very simple sweep. There's lots of variations of this one. But if we're here, and his weight is back, and I sense that his ankles are within grabbing range, he's in trouble. I grab his ankles, not his knees, grab his ankles, and I'm going to push and pull. Here. Now I have to bring a leg back underneath me, come up, and now I could either just stabilize the position or move right into a guard pass. In this case, it was a cross-knee slide. Here are two more sweeps against standing, and these go together as well. The first one, I'm going to grab his heel with my hand. My other foot is going to hook behind his knee. So I've got an instep hook on his left knee and a hand on his right ankle. Now I've secured his two legs, I can push him with my other foot and come up. From the other angle, we're here. I grab his ankle, I hook behind his knee, my other foot is in his hip, push and pull. He goes over, I come up. The next one is a tomahawk sweep. Just as before, I'm going to grab his ankle. But now instead of my right foot being on his hip, could you lift your hand away please? It's going to be my left foot on his hip. My other leg goes between his legs and sickles back like this. And I come up and I can either stabilize the position or begin passing his guard. If he comes over here, he's standing, grab his heel. So my right hand is grabbing his heel, my left foot is on his hip. My right foot goes through his legs, and I'm going to sickle and kick. Let go of my leg a little bit, like a side kick with this leg, and a strange kind of hook kick here. Stand up again, please. You're there. That looks like a strange sweep, but it's maybe the most powerful of the 4 sweeps I've shown you so far. I want to give you a couple more examples of transitions from the bottom. I'm going to show you one of my personal favorite sweeps, and it's a very, very powerful sweep. One that you would do mostly on a kneeling opponent. Don, kneel here, please. I'm going to take my arm and secure the underhook. I am sitting in a butterfly guard. That means my insteps are on the inside of his legs. We're here. Come underneath here, hold him tight. Control just above the elbow. From here, I'm going to throw my head sideways, and I'm going to lift with this leg, and then secure a variation of side mount. So showing that from this angle, come over here please, Don. I'm going to get the underhook here. I'm going to throw myself sideways and lift. Kick out here and come into side mount. The final thing I'm going to show isn't really a sweep, but it's an important thing to know. Come here, please. Anytime I'm in open guard and he's not controlling my legs, I have the option to kick him away slightly, come up on my hand, and stand up. It's important not to get locked into this idea that I'm on the ground, I need to stay on the ground. Maybe my goal is to run the hell away. If he's got a bunch of friends coming, I need ways to get out of there. I don't need ways to get into a great position and start working for a cross-choke armbar combo. I need to run. So we're here. Let's say he stands up. And let's say I've switched to open guard. So long as he's not controlling my legs, I can push him away, stand up, and then hightail it out of there. Now we're going to talk about being on the top of someone's open guard. It's a really diverse position, but I'm going to try and give you some general pointers that you should keep in mind when you're in this position. If Don has me in his open guard, I should really not end up in the position that I tried to put him in. Pull me forward, break my posture. This is not a good posture. You have to ask yourself, could I move? So I like, if I'm standing, hips down, back fairly straight, and here. Let go, please. From here, I can move around. It's basically a crouch. My back is straight, not necessarily straight upright, but it's straight. We're here, we're here. Then the game becomes removing the various hooks and grips. So you got to figure out ways to do that. Even moving his foot 1 inch or 2 inches. He was winning here, now I'm winning. Put a foot on my bicep, please. He's got me hung out like a scarecrow. If I come down and I use my knee to knock that off, now I've removed that hook, I've just gained a slight advantage.
If I'm here and he grabs my heel, grab my heel please. If I kick it forward and loop it out, now I'm doing all right. Two good basic guard passes that you might want to work from here are the same leg toss that we worked before. I come here, I control the legs. If I want to pass to my left, I first put the legs into my way. Here, 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 here. Other side, here, 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 here. Another option that I like isn't really a guard pass per se, but you are moving up the hierarchy of positions. I'm going to control his feet. I'm going to switch my grips from here to here. And I'm going to drive forward, putting his knees beside his head. Most guys, almost everybody, will roll out, at which point I take my knee, drop it behind his elbow, and secure the position. It's better to be on top of someone in turtle than it is to be in their guard. That's what I've done. One more time. We're here. We're fighting, we're fighting, we're fighting. I drive forward. Here, here. The only thing when you're doing that one is, come here please, Don. If you're going with somebody new or somebody who's not flexible, maybe be very gentle and very kind when you do this. If I drive him straight back and he doesn't put his head to the side and I pile driver my weight onto him, he can really hurt his neck. So I'm going with somebody new, I'm going to go here and I'm going to guide them over to one side, just to show them which way to roll. Your partner will thank you. Instead of taking him out and then not having a training partner, you'll have somebody to train with.